Hey everyone, Britta Albert here. If this is your first time here, I'm a spiritual transformational life coach. It's my goal for this channel to help you overcome the obstacles that are standing in the way of you living your best and most authentic life. Today's video is going to be a polarizing video. I'm going to come out there and say it. I may not even post this video, so if you're watching it, I don't know if I posted it right away or if I'm holding on to it for a little bit before I post it. I want to pose a question to you. Can you possess the wisdom of knowing who you are without experiencing what it's like to feel lost? Can you experience self-love and self-acceptance without first knowing shame and self-hatred? There is a belief system that I do subscribe to that essentially we are God experiencing God's self. That we are eternal and we are part of the Creator. And if the Creator wants to experience itself, then there must be a veil of forgetfulness that comes over so that the Creator can believe that it is not the Creator in order to know itself as the Creator. When I first was presented with this idea, I accepted it and it felt true. However, I had a hard time claiming it as my truth. So simultaneously, conceptually, I understood it, but it felt sacrilegious. And I had a lot of religious judgments and fear come up inside me that said, this is not right. And it took me a very long time, a couple of years, to settle into and understand and accept this basic truth. That I am part of Source experiencing itself. Now, why is that? Why does that feel sacrilegious? Well, because we're told that we are separate. We are taught duality, meaning we are separate. We're not one and the same. There's the concept out there that exists in non-duality that we are all one at our core, but it comes across many times as more of a fanciful belief, more of a romanticized belief of we have things in common. That when you go to the molecular level, we're all made of the same stuff. So therefore we are all the same. We all come from the same creative source or explosion. And I'm not saying that that's not true. I think they're both simultaneously true, that we are one and the same, all part of the same source, of the same consciousness, of the same Creator. But I also do believe simultaneously, it depends on the lens that you're looking at. How close are you zoomed in? How far out are you zoomed? What picture are you looking at? Are you looking at the big picture, where the big picture says that we are all one and we are a part of Source experiencing itself? Or are you zoomed in on a molecular level and you're just looking at the physical makeup? Both statements are true, but I'm speaking more of the big picture. We all come from the same Creator. We are parts of the Creator experiencing itself. There's another reason, though, that we don't like to accept the idea that we are God experiencing God's self. And this is actually something that the book Conversations with God that I was doing a series on, I say was because it's at a pause right now and I'm debating on how I'm going to continue it. But Conversations with God talks about this a lot. The entity that Neale Donald Walsch is communicating with, some people say that that's God, some people say it's a different entity, some people say that it's a demon. I do believe that Neale Donald Walsch was speaking to his higher self, and his higher self is in union with Creator. Now that's still taking it from a duality approach, as in Neale Donald Walsch is separate from the Creator, but this is at a zoomed in lens, okay, not the zoomed out lens. The zoomed in lens says that Neil speaking with his higher self, and his higher self is saying, I am God. To me, there's not much difference of him channeling his higher self or him channeling Jesus and Jesus saying the same thing. Because that's what Jesus said to everybody is, I am God. He's saying the same thing that I'm saying to you right now. Yet so many people did not believe him at the time, and there was actually very few that did. So the message that I'm saying to you is not something new. It's not something new age. It's not something that is demonic. It's literally the same thing that Jesus came here and said, I am God. We interpret it as there must be duality, and we have to have a deity that we can pray to. And so therefore we say Jesus was this perfect entity that came from a virgin. Whether or not that's true is not my point for this video. But when we think about and we have these resistances to the idea and the concept that we are God experiencing God's self, why is that? Well, one of the big fears that came up for me is the realization that if I am God, then ultimately the safety of being taken care of felt lost. If it really is just me, if all of this is just God, and I am part of God creating, and I am a part of God experiencing God's self, then that means that there's nobody who's coming to save me. That I save me, i.e., I don't need to be saved because I am God. On the flip side, all of the responsibility is mine. The problem lies when we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust our worthiness. We don't trust our value. But it's not the character of Britta who is God. So with my flaws, I'm not the supreme ruler of all of creation as the character of Britta. The character of Britta is simply experiencing a human existence, playing out this role, having these experiences so that I can experience myself as God. And I can experience what God is like to me. We create this duality experience, but the big picture is non-duality is the actual truth. But non-duality is not applicable to me right now because in this human form, I experience life and I experience reality with duality. Can it be okay that these things exist simultaneously? And can it be okay that I can accept that I'm a part of God, yet the entirety and the weight of the world and the universe and all of creation doesn't rest on my shoulders as the character of Britta? We've been told all our lives that we're bad, that we're sinful, that we're not worthy of love, but it is graciously and mercifully given to us. I don't hate my hand. My hand is a part of me. My hand deserves love just like the rest of my body. My hand deserves to be treated well and taken care of. My hand does not deserve to be set on a stove or placed inside of a fire just because it did something wrong. My hand is actually incapable of doing something wrong because it's a part of my body. So the hand does what the brain is telling it to do. So why would I punish myself and hurt myself by hurting my hand when the hand misbehaves? It's insane. You wouldn't do that. So if I'm a part of God, experiencing God's self, then how could I be quote unquote bad? That is a hard pill to swallow when you are raised in religion. We so firmly believe that we are sinful, that we are undeserving. And that's part of what makes God so wonderful and so beautiful is the story of mercy and love for those who don't deserve it. I'm not here to bash on religion. I have no problem with people who love their religion. I think it's beautiful. I think it's wonderful. I think there's a place for it. I think it's a great stepping stone. But this channel isn't a religious channel, and I'm the one making this video. So I'm going to speak about this because this is on my heart to share with you. I recognize and I understand it's polarizing. And I recognize and I understand if it cannot resonate as truth with you, and that's okay. It didn't resonate as truth with me at first. It took me time. And it took in my face experiences that I understand that the average person may not have. You may not deal with ghosts and spirits in your face around you all the time. These were things that I had to ask myself. I had to seek answers, or I was going to completely reject myself and hate myself for the rest of my life. I had to find out who God was for me. And who God is to me is not who God is for you. We have different relationships. If you have siblings, think about your parents. Your relationship with your parent is going to be different than your sibling's relationship with the parent. They can both be good relationships or they can be bad relationships, either way. One person can have a great relationship, the other one not so much. But even if they're both fantastic relationships with that parent, they're both going to be unique and different based upon who you are and the experiences that you have and how well you choose to get to know your creator, your parent. So if we are all God experiencing God's self, and Jesus didn't need to come save our soul because we have no reason to be saved because we are God, we're a part of Creator, then why did he die? Simply because we killed him. And when I say we, I don't literally mean you and I mean humanity, and specifically that small part of the corner of the earth that crucified him. Why did they kill him? Because they were afraid. Because he was a crazy man walking around saying blasphemous things like, I am God and so are you. If he really was the one and only Son of God, then why did he say, greater things than this you shall do? Because he knew that you are capable and I am capable of exactly what he was doing and more. His teachings were about giving people the power back with the limited vocabulary that existed in the day. Again, you can't fault Jesus for not saying and talking about galactic things. For all intents and purposes, yes, they watched the stars, but they may have still thought the earth was flat. They may have not even had a concept of flat earth or earth as a planet. I don't really know exactly the depth of the average person's education back then. He's talking to average people. He wasn't even talking to scholars. So he's limited to the vocabulary of the day. And that's why he spoke in so many parables, to try his best to explain these esoteric concepts with such a limited vocabulary. When he would say things like, I and the Father are one, he's saying exactly what I'm saying to you right now. That he is part of God's self, as are you, as am I. We are okay to accept these concepts that we're children of God. Then why is it so difficult to accept that you are God? That you are part of Source experiencing itself as a human character, enjoying a human existence? He came to show us how to connect to our truth. He did come to save our souls, per se, in a way, by setting us free from the veil of forgetting. Free from the disconnect with God. And if you look at the things that he did and the things that he said, Jesus was clairvoyant. He knew things. He was clairaudient. He heard things and had conversations with the legion that was in the man. He was clairsentient. He knew knowledge beyond the knowledge. He had that connection through his crown chakra to Source. And that connection was a light that comes down into the top of your head through the crown chakra, and that information gets translated and understood through the third eye and sent through the rest of the body. This is tying all of this together. The playlist I'm creating about the clairs, so you can understand what he was doing, what he was talking about, and what he was embodying, and how did he do it. And understand that you too have it, and it's not mystical, it's not magical. It's a sense that we all have. We just don't know how to use it. And we're fearful. And we're taught that it's evil or it's bad. Of all of my experiences of who I am, from a child until now, the things that Source has shown me, I have not encountered worshiping Satan. But there are those who will say, clearly I do. Never met him, unless you want to call it my shadow. And ultimately, that would be the truth. Your shadow is not the worst parts of you. Your shadow is everything you have rejected. Which means that your shadow has and holds all of the potential that you seek currently and can't find it. And I wonder why. There are some people that will argue that the Holy Spirit was a gift just for the apostles and nobody else. I believe it was an energy of awakening for the masses. And the true gift was the ability to see, the awareness of the clairs and how to use them, and freedom and access to them that we'd never had before. So how can you know who you are and have self-acceptance if you've never felt lost before? So if you're wondering why the heck would God want to experience God's self, why would God take on this perception of duality and separation from itself, why would God come here and play all of this out and experience suffering? How can you truly know love until you felt fear? How can you know yourself if you've never been lost? I don't love every part of the journey. I don't know a single person who would say that they do. But I can tell you that I can look back on everything that I've been through in my life and I can see the beauty of it, and I can see what it has brought me and the experiences that I've had. And if you just look at our media and you look at the stories that we tell and the stories that we've told for eons, we always have the hero's journey. Why is it so captivating? The ups and the downs and the antagonists and the protagonists and the challenges and overcoming the odds and coming into your fullness and standing in your strength and your confidence. Because we know that journey and we love that journey. At the core of who we are, that's what we're here for. I love you guys, and I hope this gave you something to think about. Some of you probably already know exactly where I am and what I'm talking about. Some of you, this might be a concept you've heard for the first time. There are plenty, I'm sure, that have already clicked out by now, but if you are still here, thank you. I honor you and where you're at on your journey, and I will see you next time.